Hi, my name is Didi Kato. I'm the VP of Corporate Marketing at Foxit Software, and I'm happy to be here at the National Association of Corp Management in this virtual conference. Joining me is Mike Bigelow. Mike brings a diverse background in law, marketing, and business consulting. He's actually a New York barred lawyer with more than a decade of legal experience in both small and large firms. So a little bit more about my background. This is a picture of what life has been here in the San Francisco Bay Area where I'm based. This is my husband who works at Apple and our dogs. Because of the COVID situation, actually we got a third dog, the one on the right, since the other two are getting older. But anyway, a little bit more about my background. I've been in technology all my life since graduating from the University of California at Berkeley in computer science. Most of my career was in product management, working with engineering on new features and products. And so my career actually followed the software stack. So it's always been in the software area. I worked at HP for many years, starting out at the OS, HPUX, which ran on top of the PA RISC architecture. And then I moved up the stack working with Java development tools, Visual Cafe, if you're familiar with some of the integrated development environments. I also worked in middleware products with business process management and web services technology when that started coming out around registries, UDDI registries and repositories. And I basically continued up the stack working as a partner with SAP, so with the ERP community. And then my last experience has been with cloud storage, with a product that competed against Box. So now at Foxit, it's basically all around documents, and Foxit provides a whole solution stack around PDFs. So whether you're on a desktop using Office and PDF editing, productivity tools, or if you're an IT manager looking at enterprise automation, so you have mass quantities of documents that need to be converted or scanned into text searchable files, if they need to be compressed, maybe even redacted or watermarked in mass quantities, or if you're a developer and you're working on a core case management system where you need to embed PDF capabilities into your application. Foxit provides the whole solution stack around PDFs. And it's not only looking at today's situation around converting paper documents to digital, but the exciting part of this is once it becomes digital, you can do lots of information based on the information. For example, in the second phase here for digitalization is when you can take that information and you can create new workflows and new processes based on that information. And the future phase for us is looking at digital transformation, right? Making substantial changes to your workflows based on the data. So it could be artificial intelligence, for example, where you could take that mass quantities of documents and summarize them, or you're going through e-discovery and you need to look for certain types of documents. That's all done through AI technology. So Foxit is looking at all this whole realm of data around unstructured documents. Just a little bit more about Foxit if you haven't heard of us. We've been around since 2000. Our first product came out in 2006. It was basically a reader product. And then the year after that, we came out with our editor, our first editor. Also, we came out with the SDK, and we had some very successful relationships with the SDK. For example, Google and Amazon Kindle. There are many applications actually that embed our technology within their application, and you may not know that we're running under there, but it is based on Foxit technology. We also have a number of hardware PC vendor relationships where our product is shipped with the hardware. We also have some software partnerships with DocuSign, for example. And then we made a number of acquisitions in 2016 as we were growing into different markets. 2017 was when we really started going after the verticals, for example, the federal government. So we came out with a whole set of Section 508 accessibility tools to tag your documents. And then 2018 was when we started the relationship with Dell. They came to us and wanted to offer our product as an option for Dell PCs. In 2019, we worked with UiPath to come up with some RPA integration to automate repetitive tasks. And then in 2020, we came out with some new servers or some new products based on the need for updating your products, upgrading your products, and also for administering your licenses. So we have actually lots of people using our technology. They don't know that they're using it, but if you're a user of Google Docs, if you're a user of Google Chrome, if you're a user of Gmail, and have anything to do with PDF, then you're basically using our technology. As far as licensed customers, we're very successful in lots of the highly regulated industries, such as government agencies, law firms, lots of commercial customers. Again, I mentioned the OEM customers and our SDK customers. So what are today's learning objectives? I wanted to go over some of the court challenges as we see them, especially with the COVID situation and our discussions with customers. I'll talk a little bit about the PDF standard. And then we'll go right into the appellate brief and what needs to happen, how to prepare the document itself for e-filing. So effects of COVID-19, you know, we've been working with a number of state local agencies, and you know, they're in the mode of provisioning or upgrading many of their computers, right? They need to now use these systems for people that are working at home, and so there are lots of issues associated with that. Windows 7, for example, went out of support in January. If you have a lot of old Acrobat licenses that they're not supporting anymore, there can be security issues around that. And so a lot of the agencies are actually in the process of upgrading a lot of their software, which is causing a lot of problems, right? Because there's different versions out there, and there's no clear upgrade path, especially if you've bought older product off of, you know, Adobe.com, or you bought a product through their through a reseller, or, you know, there's just so very many ways, many versions that are still out there, and if you're trying to upgrade, it's very difficult to do that. In the meantime, there's lots, again, as I mentioned, there's security issues using those older products, and so when you try to get any type of help, in many cases, there's lots of delays, lots of hold times. It's difficult to get an answer. So that's kind of the situation we're seeing in lots of state, local government today. And so many of them are actually starting fresh, and they're moving to another product. What people don't know, though, is that there are many vendors that are available on the market that provide PDF, both readers and editors, right? It's an open standard. It's been an open standard since 2008, right? It's ISO 32000 open standard, and basically all the readers, they can render the product in the same way, render the documents in the same way. But when it comes to editing capabilities, a lot of them vary, right, depending on the sophistication of the features. Foxit is on a number of committees around PDF itself, and one of them is this the PDF Association. We have an active member that's on the board, and we're also involved in guiding many of the PDF standards. So another part of this effort is looking at the PDFA requirement in the US. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. On the right here is the public access to court electronic records. It talks about PDFA. PDFA is basically a way to embed everything you need within the PDF itself so that it can be read years, 50, 100 years from now. For example, fonts. In many cases, fonts, they are different on various systems. So that will be embedded within the document itself. So Pacer is talking about the, why it's important, what it is, what software you need for it. So it's one of those things where it's an acceptable format now to submit your files in PDFA format. And you see here on the left, there's lawyers use it for e-filing. NARA uses that actually as well, the National Archives. They use PDFA as they have thousands and thousands and thousands of documents. Many states have legislation based on PDFA that they need to be submitted in PDFA. So that's California, Massachusetts, New York, and Nevada. The National Library of Congress, the Patent Office, it must meet PDFA-like standards before submitting. And then even for other government agencies, they're converting documents to make FOIA requests easier, or even in litigation, right, for e-discovery. You want to make sure that it can be searchable and that retrievable as well many years from now. Outside of the U.S., this has actually been a mandate elsewhere. You can see here that there's some countries that are still in the recommendation phase, but there are some countries such as the Dutch government where it's actually required. Brazilian federal legislature as well. So it's one of those things where people are talking about it as being a mandate here in the U.S. right now is one of many acceptable formats for e-filing. Okay, so let's talk about PDF documents and the importance of the appellate brief and how it relates to the documents. So there's many things you can do with the document, and it has to be in a certain format, as you all know. So I wanted to just touch a little bit on some of the features that you see here in Phantom PDF on how to add bookmarks, for example, merging documents, redaction, adding Bates numbering, page numbers, and then redaction with Word was the third bullet, and then I'll show you how to actually do the redaction with Phantom PDF. So first off, when you get a document, you want to make sure that it is text searchable. So if I try to highlight this, it won't let me. If I try to search for it, it won't find it. So this is probably a scanned document. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to OCR it to make it text searchable. That's optical character recognition. And now, if I try to select the text, I'm able to select text. I'm able to search text as well, Waters, and it finds Waters there in the document. You can see that there's a number of panels here on the left. You can see all the pages or bookmarks. And in this case, there's no bookmarks. So let's go ahead and just create the bookmarks. You select the text and you can simply just right-click and create the bookmark. Let's go down, Table of Authorities. Let's do it again. Select it, right-click, and create. You can also use hotkey, so statement of basis of appellate jurisdiction, and I'll just do a Control B. And same thing, statement of issues, Control B. Let's just create a couple more. Statement of the case. Let's create another bookmark. Now let's go up. Let's put the statement of issues underneath the statement of basis. All right, then let's nest it. And then let's also put, let's make sure everything's still in order. Yep. statement of basis. Okay, and let's put the statement of the case underneath there as well. Okay, so let's just double check. Click on statement of the case, takes you to the next page, takes you back a page. Yep, everything looks like it's in the right order. Let's change the name. You can simply rename anything, TOC. And you can basically create a bookmark for anything. So let's say I want the judge to read this certain section here, bird's eye view. So let's just put another bookmark and then nest it as well. Let's double check again. Yep, everything's in the right order. And that's how you create a bookmark. The next thing you want to do is you want to merge documents into a single PDF. Okay, there's a number of ways you can do this. Let's just take a look at these 3 documents. Each one of them actually has bookmarks, as you can see. So I wanted to show you what happens when you merge them all. That one has bookmarks as well. So there's a number of ways to do it. Let's go into Phantom PDF and select merge and simply add the files. You can add a folder. Let's just select the files. From here, you can order it in any way you want, just by dragging and dropping, but let's just go ahead and combine them. Okay, this is the full document. It's now 225 pages, and you can see all 3 documents are here with their bookmarks. And that's how you merge files into one PDF. So let's talk about redaction. There's many ways to redact PDFs, but let's start from Word. So in this case, we're starting from a Word document, but I wanted to show you the wrong way to redact. So I just selected a shape, rectangle shape, and I put the shape around some words. Let's say I want to fill it. It's black now. And the way that I know that that's not the right way to do it is if I try to copy that section and paste it into a new document. Let's see what happens. First thing I have to do is save the document. And in the PDF, it looks like it is redacted. But let's select it, copy, and let's paste it into a new Word document. Paste it, and you can just remove the shape and see the words. So that can be an issue when you're sharing or exchanging documents because, they could be trade secrets or they could be client confidentiality information. And if the other side now sees that information, it's hard to retract it. So the way to do it, the proper way to do it, is by using the Foxit PDF tab, and there's something called Mark for Redaction. This is all within Word, So you mark it and then you redact it. Once you redact it, it creates the PDF with the redacted information. Let's call it appellate brief, redact, save it. There's the PDF. And now let's try to copy it. I gotta select it first. Select text and image. Copy it. And let's paste it into a Word doc. And try to remove it. And you can remove the square, but you can't see the actual text underneath it. So this is the proper way to do the redaction. So let's talk about Bates numbering. So for Bates numbering, there's up on the tab that you can go to adding Bates numbering. It brings you up another dialog where you add the files. And this is a way to basically, it's like using a stamp, right? That increments the number. I took all 3 files. And let's apply Bates numbering to all 3 of these files. It's going to increment the number on each page. You can select the size. I usually put it in the right side. And we can insert. You can select the number of digits. I think 4 is usually good enough. And you can start in any number you want. So let's just start at 200. I'll put a prefix here, put my name, and select OK. So that's how it's going to look. That's going to be the first page. And then it's going to go incrementally up on each page. Okay, it applied it to all 3 documents. And this did not do a merge, right? It just applied Bates numbering to 3 separate documents, but it incremented the number. So again, it started at 200. 201. 202. Let's look at the next document. This is a 22-page document. So it's starting at 380, 381, 382. And the next document should be about 402. Yep, 400, 402, 403, and so on. You can also move it. If it's not in the right place, you can also move the document. And that's how you create a Bates numbered document. Next, let's go into page numbers, creating page numbers and index links, or basically in your table of contents, putting hyperlinks into that. So let's talk about page numbering. First of all, let's combine all these documents. We're in Explorer. There is a way to do it from Explorer. Puts it into Phantom PDF, into the merge or combine dialog. Again, you can move these around in the order that you want it, and let's just combine. Now it's all in one single PDF. And here's the table of contents. So let's look at the bookmarks. So here are the bookmarks, and you can see all 5 documents are here. So let's say I want a cover, the first page to be a cover page. So let's go all the way up to the first page. And let's add a bookmark, call it cover. And let's move that to be the first bookmark. Now let's change the page number. Instead of 1, let's change it to C for cover. So I go to Format Page Number, and I select ABC, that's the style, and I want it to basically be a C. Okay. The next section is basically front matter, so I want to change these documents, let's say pages 1 through 4, before it gets to page 5, into Roman numerals. So again, format, page number. Let's do it from, again, page 1 through page 4. And the style will be Roman numerals. And we'll start from I. Okay, so those are now 1 through 4 Roman numerals. And then the body of the brief will start on page 1. You can see there the page numbering is on the bottom. Okay, let's talk about the table of contents now. Easy way to create links in the table of contents is by drawing a box around it, and we're making the color white because we don't want a big square around it. And then you simply select next. You have to actually go to the position or the page. So an easy way to do that is just go to the bookmark. Let's do the same thing. Select a rectangle around statement of basis. And next. And click on the bookmark to get it to the right position. Set the position. And that's the page. And let's just do one more. Statement of issues. Next. Set the position by just clicking on the bookmark and set it. So now you can just click on the table of contents and it'll take you to the right page. And that's an easy way to create your table of contents with hyperlinks. Okay, and the last section is to how to redact. And there's, again, a number of ways to do it. So let me show you how we can do it using Foxit Phantom PDF. So in this document, it's a two-step process. So you mark the area, mark for redaction. You select the text that you want removed, and you apply. Tells you here you're going to permanently remove it, which is what you want, and it's now removed. Let's do the same thing we did before. Let's select the text, copy it, paste it into a Word doc. And you can see here that the redacted information is not showing up. So this is the proper way to redact it. Another way you can do redaction is by something called search and redact. So this will look at your whole document. This will search on a number of ways. Let's do the search by a pattern. And there's a few patterns you can search on. Let's make sure it's US, so that'll come up with the appropriate patterns in the US, such as social security number, address, etc. Email, let's do email. And it does a search of the whole document, and it came up with 3 emails. You can select them all. And again, 2-step process. You mark it, and then you apply the redaction. Another way to do redactions is based on profiles. So instead of pattern, let's select redaction profile and create. Let's put in a name for it. And this is basically a way to customize a redaction. So let's say I want to do it based on this name, this text, Waters and Kraus. And I want to put some text on top of it, claimant. And I add it. Save it and search it. And it's searching the whole document, and it found all instances of Waters and Kraus. Select all of them. Again, 2-step process, mark it, and then redact it. Okay, that was a quick demo of how to prepare your documents for e-filing. So the last section I wanted to go through is just what you should look for your users. You want to make sure that when they're editing the appellate briefs that they can do it quickly, right? So there's not a learning curve. You know, if there's a nice ribbon interface, which is like the Microsoft ribbon, it's familiar to them, they know how to use it. Or if they're in Word doc or using some Microsoft Office applications, again, if there's plugins that'll help you create PDFs, again, it's much easier for them to use. Advanced editing features enables better readability. So if you have bookmarks, for example, that once it takes you to the bookmark, if there's certain actions that are applied, once it takes you to those pages, that's all around being able to read the document better for judges that are looking through these mass quantities of documents. Also, if you're editing a document and you're able to reflow the text in a paragraph, so it flows from one to another, or even a page from one page to another, it's called reflow. Again, that's more of an advanced feature. You want to be able to quickly redact sensitive information, right? So I showed you a number of ways to do that. You can search and redact the whole document. We also have automation products. I touched on it a little bit, and it's for mass quantities of documents. You can redact information based on patterns, and again, you can apply lots of other things to those documents as well, OCRing it and compressing it, etc. And the last thing is, for users, you need to have good online tutorials, good support. You know, you want them to be able to talk to a human and not a robot, right? To make sure that they're as efficient as possible. What to look for IT, right? So now you're in IT. An important factor is no named user licensing, right? So a lot of times licenses are tied to a user. So if they leave the company, then what happens to the license? Also, there's ways to manage it through license servers. You want an easy way for IT to manage that, create groups, etc., add and remove users. You want IT to be able to control and automate software upgrades. You want to be able to push them out appropriately and ensure that they're installed You also want to be able to choose between subscription and perpetual license agreements. You don't want to be forced into one or the other. You want to make sure that it works across all virtualized environments, right? So Citrix is one of those that that we ensure that our product works on. And then, of course, you want all the features from the legacy products such as Acrobat at a fraction of the cost. So last, I wanted to just wrap it up with a few documents. You can download these documents. First one here is best practices on how to avoid rejected corp filings. So it walks you through a lot of those same features I went through. Here's the index, but it basically talks about redaction, Bates numbering, etc. And then there's also a document, I found this on the internet. I just did a Google search and this came up. It's from a consulting company. It's a legal consulting company, and they wrote this nice document that goes through all the features of Foxit Phantom PDF for legal professionals. Of course, Foxit Phantom also has its own user documentation as well. So with that, I wanted to thank you for staying on. Make sure in the chat below that you put in your email information to receive a 60-day trial of Phantom PDF for Business. And we'll get that licensed to you right away so you can play around with it for yourself. So with that, let's open it up for some Q&A.